Bam. There it is. We are ready. We are rolling and we are recording. Hey, it's me, J.Evans, with my special guest for the day, Jeanathan Lei. Jay. I call him Jay, but you know. How
Hey
are you?
y'all. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Y'all see Jay's background. We're gonna get into that later because he gave me some good information. But Jeanathan has a channel here on YouTube that I want everybody to go follow, not just because I'm saying go follow it, but his channel, it'll be listed in the description, is Grace KiKi with Jeanathan Lei. You have to follow him because he pushes the envelope. He touches on subjects that people don't want to touch the objective of the subject. So we're going to get into that with him, talk about his channel, get to know him. But I want everybody that's an Apple Pie mind to go subscribe to him and
Mhm.
watch the series because it's in order. He's talking to all kinds of people, different walks of life. So it'll make me roll into my first question because I'm giving you Walter Cronkite. What made you decide to do Grace KiKi? Because it is a touchy subject still in 2021.
It is. Thank you for having me on, Jay, by the way.
Of
Thank you
course.
very much. I appreciate it. Um, the reason why, okay, so I live in New York, New York, New York, Harlem to be exact. And I run, well, I don't run, I am the social director of a charity here called Impact NYC. We promote fellowship and what have you. We combat stigma and isolation associated with living with HIV. And my job is to get people out and talking and loving and just living their lives because just because you have HIV, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to die. How dare you? Boo. So, when the pandemic shut down, we had all of this time to sit and reflect. And during that reflection, I watched, like all of us, George Floyd be murdered.
Mhm.
And I it affected me especially because George Floyd and I were very, very close in age. He was 46, I'm 48, I think. Um, and so I watched one of my peers like be executed on the street, and I was affected, as we all were. A couple weeks passed, and I was working on this project with my friend Michael Hager, who's the executive director of Impact NYC, and he and his partner Michael went down. They invited us down to Asbury Park, New Jersey. And Asbury Park, New Jersey is like around the shore, and it is deep, deep, deep in Trump country. And here I am, beautiful, chocolatey, going down with my friends, the Michaels, Michael and Michael, white, and my boyfriend Scott, white, and me. And we're down and we're trying to have a great time, but every time I walked into a space, I was reminded of my beautiful chocolateness in that polite way that white people tell you you shouldn't be there.
Mhm.
You know the way, oh, hi, that kind of a way. And um one evening, the Michaels and I and Scott and someone else who I won't name was sitting there. And I was fanning myself because it was very warm. It was the middle of summer. And I had this beautiful leather fan from Uganda. And I'm just fanning myself. And this fellow, whose name I'm not going to mention, picks up this fan. And he's all like, what's this? I was like, it's a fan. He's all like, from where? I was like, from Africa. Oh, I didn't think people in Africa had fans.
Okay.
What the hell do you mean, Queen? Oh, I don't mean to be touchy. Like, why did you get it? Where were you? I was like, well, to be on, I was at the African American Museum in Jackson, Mississippi, with my partner and I when I introduced my white boyfriend to my black family. And he says, oh, and then he looks at my partner, of whom he had been checking out on Scruff. Yeah, let that sit for 2 or 3 seconds.
Ugh.
Okay. So he looks at my partner and he's all like, oh, so how was that like for you? I was like, the conversation isn't about him. We're talking about me right now. And so there was such a tension in that weekend that I had. And as we're driving back to the city, I say to my friend Michael, we just start having this conversation. We had this unpack about how uncomfortable that weekend was because they were seeing a different version of the weekend than I was experiencing. And that's when I realized the white perspective is what is this normal thing. And us BIPOC live somewhere in this other that I think is disrespectful. So the what I wanted to do with Race KiKi is invite people in to conversations and ask, when did you learn about race? To get to a point where you can experience the fact when you were indoctrinated into this stupid ass lie of white supremacy that is America.
Damn.
That was a
Okay.
long ass story.
No, but I liked it. Now, have you gotten any feedback? Because people comment in the comment section. Have you got any feedback, any comments? People saying what they think about it, good or bad or whatever.
Um, I have not received any negative feedback, strangely enough, because of the way that the conversations are structured. The way I like to have conversation is just like you and I are talking right now. We're talking, we're going to tell some stories, we're going to laugh. I hope we're going to walk away from this learning some things, me falling deeper in love with you and you luxuriating and all that is me. And
Yeah.
so that's the way that I like to tackle conversations about race because when we boil it all down, when you say when did you learn about race, most people pinpoint the specific moment in their like formative years, like 3 to 5 or like 3 to 6, somewhere in there. And they say, well, my parents did this. And what that tells me is what your parents are doing is reinforcing the negative stereotypes that they may have, in fact, they're imparting their lived experience on you.
Yeah. And that's the first question you ask everybody that I like when I watch it.
Hmm.
Um, because it's different for some people, but it's really interesting to me. Just people responses about that. Hmm. So how do you think we can improve where we're at as far as race? Because it's still um like you said, George Floyd, or if we look at like Breonna Taylor and
Tamar Rice, Philando Castile, um, Rodney King. You can name, there's dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of them, of us, and many of us whose names we don't know. Many of us who are rotting in prison for absolutely nothing. Many of us who are walking down the street who are afraid because you may have 1 or 2 joints on you when you have a white dude right next to you about to become a millionaire on a weed on weed. How dare you? How dare you with the hypocrisy of this country? How dare you? I'm sorry, what was your question?
um no, that's true. But how do you think I think you doing the conversation is helping, but
Hmm.
what besides that do you feel like could change it? Because you're in New York, somewhere where it's a mecca of all kinds of cultures. What do
Hmm.
you think
Hmm.
can help change
I really believe that if we can first start with who we associate ourselves with, the circles of our influence, because having a conversation with someone who doesn't think like you, who's not from your same ilk, has the amazing advantage of broadening your horizons. When your horizons are broadened, you start to be able to decipher all of the targeted shit that's being forced at you. When you're able to be able to decipher through all that shit, you're able to then make correct decisions about the votes that you're making, which will actually impact a greater part of society. It all starts with a conversation.
Yeah, and I think you got it. Now this one is touchy, and different people have different opinions, so that's why I need to hear yours.
Sure.
Black Lives Matter versus
Hmm.
All Lives Matter. Some people are offended by the saying Black Lives Matter. They think all lives should be used. What does Jeanathan Lei think about that?
Well, all lives matter is the same equivalency as I don't see color. I don't have a racist bone in my body. What that is doing is erasing my lived experience different than your white experience. What you're saying when you say all lives matter, what you're doing is imparting your perspective, your lived experience through you're using that as a blanket term. Well, my life is important. I'm white, so if I do what I'm supposed to do, the cops won't hurt me. So if everyone does like I do, all lives should matter. But that's not the lived experience of a person of color. Your life, your white life, isn't the one that is being targeted. Your white life isn't the one that is being denied a good loan, for instance. Your white life isn't the one that is making less money when you go do jobs. Your white life isn't the one that you have to manage your level of whiteness in every interaction you have with someone non-white.
Damn. Yeah. I just feel like some people sometimes don't get it because they're not having like the conversations that you're bringing to the table, and then they're not thinking of it from somebody else's standpoint.
Hmm.
And I just feel like if we were included in the all, we would not have to say it separately.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's from the same narrative as when everyone says, let's go back to normal. When we go back to normal, what normal equates to in this country is white, where white people can prosper as long as we, BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color, BIPOC, stay in our selected places. Black folks, you keep your mouth shut, you do all of the hard labor. Asian folk, y'all are the model minority, so you do what we tell you to do. Muslim folk, y'all just go away. Mexican folk, y'all do all of our cooking and cleaning and make sure you take care of our babies. But as long as everybody plays their part, we'll be fine. But that's not the way that this country works. That's not because if you think about it, if all of the BIPOC band together,
Mhm.
we are actually a collective majority.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in the one of the tenets of this white supremacist narrative that we are living in, it's sowing seeds of deceit between all of us to keep us all infighting while all staying in our respective places, playing our respective parts.
Yes. So that's a touchy subject. So we're going to go to another touchy. But this subject isn't as touchy as it used to be in the heyday. Um,
Hmm.
Sexuality in 2021. Do
Mhm.
you feel the world is more accepting towards the LBGTQ world now?
The L and the G, yes. The BTQIA plus, no. Because the L and the G, we've been forced to deal with for a lot of our lifetime. The B, the T, the B, the T, the Q, the I, the A. These are all new gender expressions, gender and or sexuality expressions. Granted, I know that they are not the same, but these are new concepts for people to deal with, and they are fighting tooth and nail because it's too new for a
Mhm.
lot of our puritanical American society to deal with. And so the easiest way for them to deal with it is to reject it, is to try to legislate it away, namely with our trans brothers, sisters, and siblings.
What do you think? Because this one is like a touchy subject for people, but I know you can go there and you fine with it. Um, LeBron James,
Hmm.
his daughter, son,
Daughter,
um, daughter.
get
Some
your
people
gender.
feel son,
Nope.
but what do you feel about it? Some people say, it's not a good thing. Some people are saying, oh, it's Gabrielle. She's forcing him to deal with it. Some people just say he loves, his child and he's accepting. And I can, on one hand, I think we're living in a different world, right?
Hmm.
Where in my heyday, you didn't really discover yourself. You probably knew, but you didn't talk about it until you were finished with high school. You were out in the world. Now, kids in kindergarten are saying, "Hey, I'm not Mike. I'm Michelle." So,
Hmm.
what do you think about the whole response of no, he shouldn't? Yes, he should. What do you think about it? About him supporting his son? About him identifying?
Well, his LeBron James's daughter. And I believe, just like I've always believed, I don't get to impart my decisions on who I think your gender is. That is not my place to say. I do not have that right. If that human has decided for themselves that that is who they are, it is my absolute right as a human to respect that person and acknowledge that that's who they are. And I would absolutely agree with that, especially if it's a child. This child, do you remember being a child? You remember, right? And you're going through all your things and you're all like, do I like Jaquan? I think I might like Jaquan.
Not Jaquan.
Now, think about this. You're thinking you like Jaquan, but you don't you don't like what's happening here because you don't believe that what's happening here should be because in your mind it's not right. That's not who you are. Could you imagine having someone else tell you that you're wrong? Could you imagine how that would feel?
Yeah.
Now, put that on having everyone in the entire world telling you that's not how you should feel when you know that's how you feel. When you know in your heart that's who you are. Imagine having the entire world telling you that all at the same time, and you trying to be a good human, you trying to live in this world and find love and just be who you are, and everyone in your entire life telling you that's not who you are, but your parents reaffirming that's who you are. You feel safe, you feel seen, you feel loved, you feel accepted. And then with your parents standing beside you, fuck all those other people. If my parents are standing right there beside me, I feel confident enough to walk through this world and slap through all this bullshit and defy you. I demand that you see me. And in that regard, it takes more strength to walk around this world as a transhuman than any of these other punk ass women and men. That takes more strength than anything else in the world. Period. So do I support it? Absolutely.
Okay, I got you with that.
And
Do
it's
you?
I don't even know any other way to look at it.
Yeah, I just think we're living in a world now where it's more accepted than it's ever been, and now it's more of a backlash. Because I remember back in the day, if people said something, it was just like, oh, they said something. They might have released a statement that said, I'm sorry, I'm going to therapy or counseling, and that was it. It was forgiven. But now you can't do that. Even if you don't agree with it, even if you don't like it, it's more of like, you bet not.
But
And
but who in the fuck are you, pardon my French, but who in the fuck are you to not agree with somebody's life? Not agree with somebody's life. It is not a choice. It is a life. It is not a lifestyle. It is a life. It is who the person is. Period. It's not a choice. It's not something that, as hard as that is, as hard as that crux is to bear, why would someone choose it?
well, that's a great debate. Some people think it is a choice.
They are
Um,
stupid. Those are people who've never had to live, never had to walk through life feeling, feeling. Those people are stupid.
some think it is a choice. Some people feel like they are born. I mean, I've heard people that say it's a choice. Now, my opinion is that for me, I was born. I
Yep.
wasn't like you can choose what color you want your car to be when you buy your car. You can
Hmm.
choose if you want your house to have a garage when you buy a house. For
Hmm.
me,
Hmm.
it wasn't a choice. This is
It
just who
wasn't
I
a
am.
choice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Period.
yeah.
And
But
and on top of that, I will be good and goddamned if I'm gonna walk through life trying to make you comfortable with my life. Fuck you. I don't give a damn about you. If you don't like it, turn your head. If you don't like it, go over there. I don't care, but I wish you blessings.
yeah, that's the thing. I've always felt like even if a person doesn't like the fat on agree, I don't need your approval. I don't need your disapproval. Just respect me as a human being. I don't really care what you think one way or the other.
You ain't
So,
fucking me, feeding me, or paying my rent. Bye.
do you watch Pose?
I do.
Okay, so this is the last season of Pose. Why I
Hmm.
don't. Um, but I feel like that's a show that it made people see it made me sad a little bit watching some of it, like what they had to deal with. I love the stories. I love, of course, the music because it brings us back to that time. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
and like you said, the different things that others go through, not just the gay and the lesbians, but if you're transgender.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
Pose is ending, but it showed the different stigmas that people have to deal with HIV,
Hmm.
with their families not accepting them. Do you think that show is a realistic portrayal, especially from that time period of what people went through? And
Yes, absolutely. Um, I remember because when I tested positive in 1997, it was still that lived experience of, but I remember people just dropping dead. I remember having friends just drop dead. And it was scary. Granted, in '85 and what have you, I still have my knock-knocks and skipping and jumping rope and stuff. I was still young and cute, but I still remember those things. And once I got out into the world, I remember somebody in my family making a joke, don't hang around them fags. And, I hate that word. I was like, and one of the jokes was, what do you call a fag on roller skates? What is that? Rolades, those kinds of things. And um the sometimes watching Pose took me back to moments of watching friends wither away. And it's a beautiful, sad trip down that lane. And I think that having it go on any longer would be like that early like HIV porn that all of gay cinema turned out to be back in the day, where it's all like you have this tragic story of some beautiful people dying of AIDS kind of a thing. It did what it was supposed to do. I'm very, very, very happy to have lived in a time where I could see authentic stories being told of Black and brown people and our struggles.
Yeah, it just I love it. I love like the honesty of it. Like even when they're cooking their meals and they're just eating spaghetti with no beef,
Because they're
like
poor.
they're poor and they're
Mm-hmm.
just trying to live their best life. And
But you know what that also is surrounded around, because around that time it was also, and I don't want to drag the church, but I'm going to bring the church up. It was back when we were being preached to, us BIPOC folks were being preached to about God hating the gays, and that same passage about man should lay with man and that whole thing. And we're being thrown out of our homes because there's nothing worse at that time. You're poor, you're Black, racism. Now you want to put gay on top of it? Not in this house. You're gonna bring shame on this house. Now the reverend won't have anything to do with us. You gotta go. So you put these kids out on the street. These kids are out on the street. They're walking up here on the pier, and what's happening? BIPOC are generally sexualized by white men. These white men come in, and then they're laying around, laying around, laying around. Then HIV happened. I'm just painting one story, not all stories, just one story. And so I see how the story was so true. I was, yeah, yeah.
it just it just reminds me of what so many people had to go through and where
Mm-hmm.
we are now, especially like when they were showing the parts where the people died and nobody claimed their body and they just buried them all together. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was
Mm-hmm.
cold to me, but it's just like it can make me appreciate where we're at now. Because I never thought in my lifetime, being a gay man, that we could actually get married. I never
Mm-hmm.
thought that happened. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's a lot.
It's a lot. We've come far. There's so much more work to do until everyone is equal. There's so much more work to do because as we're moving forward, mhm, two steps forward. But didn't Paul Abdul say we take two steps
Just
back?
back,
But
yeah.
in this particular case, I think we're taking about 40 years back based on all these voter laws we're being slid on through, with some trans laws slid on up and through. So we're trying to go back to the 1940s. You know when the 40s were good for white people? Again, not dragging white people, love white people, proximity to whiteness. My husband is a white man. Go on.
Yeah, that's just interesting. Let me roll into love insightful. So I want to know, um, dating now is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give if a younger guy came to you and said, I'm struggling to find the one? You remember that, the one?
I remember that, the one. I do. Um, and then my question would be, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Because if you're coming up with some storybook romance of some dude you saw in a movie, or some dude you read in a book, or some dude you imagined in your head, that dude is only good for like 6 weeks, and then he gonna start leaving his shit around, and then he's gonna do something disrespectful, like leave the bathroom door open when he takes a poop, or just something gross, and you're all like, "What? I don't even know what that means." What I would rather you do is find someone that inspires you. Look for someone that makes you believe in yourself even more than you are. But that only comes from you got to date a lot. I didn't say fuck a lot, but I didn't say that, but I did say date a lot, because what I don't understand is these little 18-year-olds talking about, oh my God, I love him. He's the one. And you get married and you go off to college and then you get sprung. Well, here you are, 18, married, husband, y'all doing it. 5 years later, you've grown into different people. And if you don't choose to grow together, what happens? You grow apart. Then you start resenting each other. But the easiest, I'm rambling. The one piece of advice I will give any person, even my younger self, is spend more time getting to know the person with their clothes on as opposed to them with their clothes off.
Damn.
Because you will spend more time with them clothed than with them naked.
Damn. Yes, because I tend to think some people, and I'm one, I can say when I was younger, I was not in love, I was in lust.
You were in lust. You just want to see what was in them jeans. And granted, that could all be, dicks are wonderful, asses are nice, pecs are fantastic, boobs are great. You know, everything is wonderful, but what about the person walking around with those things?
Yeah.
What if he's an idiot? What if she's a Republican? What if he likes AR-15s and like skipping down the street? Sure, he could look real good in jeans, but girl, I'm not ready for all that crazy. What if he has ferrets?
You silly. But yeah, that's
Have
something you need to get to know.
Have you ever been in somebody's house with ferrets? It smells like piss.
No.
It's not cute. I'm sorry. I'm rambling.
No. I mean, I think that's good. Like, know what you're getting yourself into. Because I've been in that situation when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, like, I'm like, who is this? I'm sleeping with the enemy. I
Who
didn't know
is
you like
this?
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like, yeah, you got to know what you're doing.
He invites you over for dinner and he doesn't have anything in his kitchen but milk and barbecue sauce. What the hell is that?
Now, what do you think about these kind of relationships? Because I do believe I'm open minded when it comes to stuff, right? What
Mm-hmm.
works, for certain people, it might work for them. And this
Mm-hmm.
is a very heated topic with people. Open
Okay.
relationships. Um, are they more realistic, or should people just date and have some kind of like understanding? Like, why put a relationship title on it, or Why not? Even marriages are open. What do you think about that?
I believe that if they like it, I love it. I'm not here to block anybody's blessings. As long as you and your partner know what's going on, and more importantly, that third or fourth or fifth person also know what's going on, so everybody knows exactly what the deal is, then no one's feelings are in the mix. And if you're out there just dipping it and doing it, and you coming home because I'm committed to this person, but sexually maybe not monogamous, that's not a big deal. It's a very mature thing. I know I've had many people in my life with May December romances, if you will, where one of them is much older than the other, and the younger one feels like they want to skip around. The older one doesn't. And they're completely open about it and they're completely comfortable. They're very, very, very much in love. And the younger one goes out and he does what he does, and they have rules of engagement. The young one, they have an operational agreement where the young one can only hit it once. He can't have, repeat offenders. There's no, it's just a thing that they do.
Yeah.
And they've been blissfully happy for a while.
Yeah. I know quite a few people in those situations, but one particular couple I know, like, I'm the kind of person where it's not my place to judge you. Whatever works for you works for you, right?
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
just say if we're talking about it, and it might be a couple that are being open and honest, like, yeah, we're in a, they'll be like, ugh. And I'm like, y'all in the same situation. Like, how you don't even have to say anything if you don't want to say anything, but they'll just be like, why are y'all doing that? How y'all? And I'm just sitting there like, I don't say nothing, but I'm like,
hypocrite. No,
yeah.
no, they being hypocrites. They're trying to look all good. Those are those folks who go to church and be praying, yes, Lord. And then the next thing you know, they having a 50 Shades of Grey party in their basement. Shut up.
Not 50 Shades of Grey. Oh Lord.
Your
Um,
hypocrisy is showing, Judy.
Now this is something that just happened, and
Okay.
I want to know your thoughts on it. Because he's from my generation, from yours, DMX.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
What did you think? Like, when people die, I understand. Like, I hate finding out a person died through social media, but that's when everybody will start posting the pictures. I
Mm-hmm.
love, you were so great. What do you think about like his death, his life, his legacy, all that?
I didn't have an opinion.
You didn't.
I didn't. I'm not really. I didn't really know of his music. So I'm sad that he died. From my understanding, he didn't have a fondness of his homosexual son. So from just that bit of knowledge, I could care less.
Yeah, well, he was somebody for me. I remember when he came out, I was in high school,
Hmm.
and he was like, I guess we had like a shift in music where it became more pop, but he made it more gritty. And it's just like everybody now has like so much love, which I understand that, but to me, my whole thing is you should have just told the person or appreciate them while they're here.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
have stuff about it.
Well, in that regard, I absolutely agree. There, with all this love being poured over him, where was that love when he was alive? Because my understanding that the last couple of years of his life were difficult.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, this one had people up in arms too. But now we have a new president, President
Okay.
Biden, and we
Mhm.
have Vice President Harris. What do you think about them being in office so far? To you, how have they been doing?
So far, I think that it's order after chaos. Honestly speaking, the last 4 years of our country were tumultuous is a real good word. Chaotic is a real good word. Um, Terrifying is a real good word. Um, every single day was a new ramping up disaster. And what also happened in those 4 years were on the Senate level, people with his same mindset were being elected. On the House level, people of his same mindset were being elected. On the state level, people of his mindset were being elected. On the city level, people of his mindset were being elected. Meaning there's Trumps all up and through, which will explain all of these legislations and shit happening in these various states and cities and principalities and such. Biden and Harris have put a bit more professional. They just put the president back in presidential.
Mhm.
Seriously. It's just like they took it back from a petulant, elitist child who had absolutely no reason being there. Fight me if you want to. It's just what I believe. He had no reason being there. And the last 4 years have done un, unimaginable damage to this country. And it also started a seed or watered a seed with some super duper fertilizer of racism back into this country. I don't know that it ever died. It just got much, much, much more emboldened. And once the cat's out of the bag, it's so hard to put it back in. The only way you get rid of it is kill it. So as far as their administration, I'm very happy with the work that they're doing, but it's exposing, putting it all in order is going to expose all of the cracks that were there before.
Yes. Now I've never interviewed anybody and asked them, but I'll ask you. Um, Now I think we're in a better light with COVID now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you feel about them handling this current administration? When I'm saying them handling COVID versus the former.
Stop. You stop that. Okay. So, here are my thoughts about this vaccine rollout, right?
Mhm.
Depending on the state in which you are in, by the way, your senator and your Congress, your senator and your House person already have the vaccine. Just so we're clear. All of your state people, everybody representing your state already have the vaccine. We saw them all get it on camera. Everyone has it, right? Isn't it interesting how everyone there's like half the country deciding not to take this vaccine? Isn't that interesting? And
Yeah.
a lot of them are white evangelicals, and they're following the advice of vaccinated people telling them not to get vaccinated. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense, right? You have all of these pundits on TV spouting all these vaccine lies and what have you, but they already have the vaccine. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here.
So, but depending on the state, New York we had a problem here for a while because a lot of our wealthier people were scooping up vaccines in various locations, and it was very difficult for BIPOC to obtain a vaccine for a while. We're getting a little bit better. This has been a far better since Biden and Harris have come into office. Has actually had a plan. Before it was kind of like the wild wild west, and you could get one depending on where you lived and what affiliation your governor had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some people, because I never tell people what to do. Now I'll give my opinion and I'll
Mm-hmm.
say
Mm-hmm.
what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do. I know some people feel strongly about it. I've taken it. I've done the Pfizer, and
Mm-hmm.
at first I had to think like, okay, I think my first thought was like, they came up with this too quick. But then I had to think they had to,
They
because
had to, because
we
folks
have,
were dying
yeah, that have died than any war we've ever had. So
combined.
yeah, if they don't come up with something, people are going to be dead. But my thing with people, because I'm never going to tell somebody take it or wear a mask. I know I'm going to wear a mask. I wear
Mm-hmm.
two. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, if you don't feel like that's the thing for you to do, great. But don't be around other people. Like I know people that want to visit people and be around them. Like I was just talking to somebody and they were saying, I'm not taking it because I don't trust it. But then you're saying, oh, I want to go visit.
No, you
No,
don't. No, you
stay
don't.
at home.
You stay at home. You want to
Yeah.
visit? Let's do a Zoom. We could FaceTime. It'll be real cute. I can walk you around my apartment. We can act like we're gonna hug. Don't touch me. Yeah, it's
Yes.
gross. Um, but then that goes into that whole. Are you guys having the discussion about the vaccine passport in Texas?
No.
Okay. So there's this vaccine passport that it's in the talks right now where you show a thing that you've been vaccinated and have a negative COVID test, then you're allowed into certain venues and allowed on planes and allowed in concert stadium and allowed places. Um, it sounds a lot to me like segregation, but that's neither here nor there. So I don't know. If you've not heard about it, it may be coming your way. So keep an ear out.
Yeah. I just think it's just interesting. A lot of people are nervous about it, but I
I
just feel
don't, you know why I understand. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I understand why people are nervous about it with the especially black folk. I get it. I get it. But what's the alternative? The alternative is you get COVID and you might die. You might not die, but someone you know might die because of you. And do you want that on your conscience? And I had COVID. It's not cute. So I think that if we could have more open and honest dialogue, as a matter of fact, I have a conversation this coming Friday that'll be posted in a couple of weeks with my very, very smart friend, Dr. Michelle. And I'm going to talk to her about Black people and vaccines.
yeah.
So I would absolutely, and I also want to talk to her about the racism that exists in the medical field and how we as Black folks, when we go into doctors' offices, why are we treated the way we're treated? And why are we not believed when we say that we are having symptoms? Why are we not prescribed the things that would help us? Why are we not offered mental health? Why are we not looked at as um, uh, patients and not complainers?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be ready to watch that one. I'll be watching anyway, but I'll ready to hear it from her. Because I hear a lot of people comparing it to like the whole Tuskegee Airmen, and I get that, but that is not what this is
It
about.
is
But
not. It is not. I don't think that would make it's not logical, especially with the way that it's being rolled out internationally. And then we won't even talk about the fact that most most industrialized nations, most rich nations are hoarding all the vaccine anyway. And our poor nations don't have access to it because we're taking them all.
Yes. So
Yeah. And in some regards, wasting the vaccine. When there are people in Mexico, people in Africa, don't even have they won't even get it for years now. For at least a year.
which is sad, but I just think, well, they say every 100 years it's like an outbreak of something. So
Mm-hmm.
I just look at it like it was our time, and we
Mm-hmm.
just have to educate ourselves. Like, even if you take the vaccine, you still need to be cautious.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Wear your
Wash your hands.
mask, wash your hands, take a shower, clean your apartment, clean your
uh,
booty hole, just clean everything.
and stop thinking Lysol, even though it's available here in Texas now. Y'all stop thinking spraying Lysol is just automatically gonna make your house clean. You still
It
need to
is
be
not.
outside and
You
put
gotta
some stuff.
wipe, girl. You
Yeah,
gotta get on wipe, steam clean, flip your mattress, wash your
clean.
sheets, clean, and wash your wigs. You're laughing. You are laughing, but I'm
No,
being
that's
dead
true though.
serious.
Yeah,
Wash your
that's true.
wigs.
Yes, they say you supposed to wash your hair. You're supposed to, if you go out, well, you're supposed to wash your anyway.
Mhm.
But we living in a time when you got to. But stop thinking if y'all spray Lysol, y'all house is clean, baby. It is
Your house
not.
is not clean. Clean your
And put some
house.
curtains up and take those bed sheets down. Um,
That part. Hmm.
Now I heard you say this, but I'm gonna ask you this question:
Okay.
if the Jeanathan Lei of today could go
Mhm.
back in time to the Jeanathan in 21, what advice would you give him, or what would you tell him?
Don't let what those white people in Colorado tell you affect you as much as it did. Don't believe all the lies that you were told. Yeah.
Now, I did an interview with Jonathan. If y'all have not seen it, look in that description. It's
It's
there.
so good.
He schooled me about Colorado. I've never been to Colorado. And he told a lot of stuff, like his time there, the stuff that he's been through. And I had my little wine, but in my head, I was like, really? Like it was very honest. And that's what you will get from his channel. It's not just it's the talk of race, but you get other stories about people and their lives and tidbits. And I think that's what makes it pop and makes it work, because you get to see different things along with the race, but you get different stories. And one of the stories I want to talk about is this background. This I love arts, and he shared a tidbit with me about this room. Can you tell us about this beautiful art piece in the background? That's a labor of love, literally.
It literally is. Okay, so my partner and I got a gift probably 2, 3 years ago. No, it was 2 years ago. This young lady that Scott directed in a play in Michigan. He was up in Michigan when we first started dating. So cute. He went away. 6 weeks after we started dating, he went away to Michigan to direct a play. And honey, we wrote each other every day like old school correspondence letters, honey, and sent them back. It was romantic kind of love. Anyway, this woman sent us a canvas, this stretched canvas with black paint. And in the instructions, it says, light some candles, lay out this canvas, get naked, and do some stuff. And that's what we did. We put it in our bedroom that is only decorated in black and white, and mirrors. Namely, mostly, actually, this room is mostly white. See, hold on. I'll give you a quick spin. See, the room is mostly white. And we wake up every morning, we go to bed every night with this hope and promise of peace and serenity. We wake up every day with this hope and promise of peace and serenity. We step out into the world with peace and serenity. Because our idea is when you wake up peacefully, you walk through the world peacefully.
I love it. So y'all get to see his room, y'all get to feel like his vibe, all that stuff. Now, people say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Is that true?
Absolute girl, it is hard as shit to live here. It is hard. Granted, when I was back before I left um, the world, back in before COVID, I was making suits on Madison Avenue. Fabulous. It was beautiful. But the world needs more race conversations and not more guys who know how to make suits.
There you go.
There
So
you
y'all be sure. I've said
come
it, I'll
on.
say it again.
Come
Go,
on. Come on, join me.
go follow Race KiKi with Jeanathan Lei. It'll be listed in the description. Um, you can watch his videos from start. Every week is a different guest. It's
Mm-hmm.
different conversations. You get all walks of life. And I don't think it is a thing of, because when it comes to race, people might say, oh, is it like this versus this? Is not
Nope. It's not like anything. It's just an open conversation, non-threatening, non-judgmental. I'm just having a conversation because that's how we first start to change the world. It all starts with words.
starts with words, and
It all
it's
starts with
people's
words.
perspectives, because I learned so much. Because I can't remember the name, but I remember your guest saying the grandmother um about race and how he learned it from his grandmother and her opinion.
Uh-huh. 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 Oh, wait, that was Michael. Um that was a great story because she kept raised him as if he were white.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's half Mexican and half white, and because of his proximity to whiteness, she negated everything Mexican from his world and indoctrinated him into whiteness and tried to instill into him anti everything else except whiteness.
yes. So that's the kind of stuff you get. You get a surprise, you get a good story, everything. And how can people outside of here, how can they follow you and keep up?
You can find me on Facebook at Race Kiki, and you can find me on Instagram at Race Kiki. Granted, on YouTube, I'm gonna make sure you spell my last name. My name right because it's not spelled how you think it is. It's Jeanathan, Jeanathan Lei, Lei. It's a cute
That's it.
name, right? Come on, come on.
So I'll put it in the description with the link where you can click and subscribe, set your notifications, follow.
Every Monday, every Monday we get a brand new episode. This week's episode, I don't know when this is going to air, so I'm not going to tell you who we're going to talk to. But the guest that's coming up on the following week is my new friend Ariel Estrada, and we talk. He's from the Philippines, and we talk about anti-Asian and anti-Black and how we can work toward a conversation together. It's a really awesome chat.
So y'all tune in. This is gonna drop. I'm dropping it today, John.
Oh, sexy. Well, come on tomorrow, y'all.
So y'all go over there and tune in tomorrow, Monday, and y'all keep up with Jeanathan. And I want to thank you for letting me get to talk with you because I feel like you pushed the envelope. And I will see you when you land your gig on CNN, and I'll be right there
Hey,
with you.
You're going to be right there. As a matter of fact, I'm still getting together this panel about the fetishization of black men, and you are going to be one of the guests. You know it's right.
Oh, y'all heard it.
And it's gonna be filthy, y'all, because I am not going. I will want us to tell real stories using real terms. Not, girl, he stuck it in. No, girl, I need you to tell me stories. I need you to tell me how you felt when that white man left your house, and you're like, I feel so dirty. All those stories.
Everything. So I don't have a problem with telling it like it is.
I believe that.
So, apple pies, we talk the talk. Now it's time to walk the walk. That's it, and that's all, America. Thank you, Jeanathan, for doing this with me. Y'all go over there and subscribe, set your notifications, share his video,
Bye, y'all.
get in on the race KiKi with Jeanathan Lei. Thank you, Jeanathan.
Thank you, Jay. Bye.